I, 25, dated this girl, 24, let's call her Betty, all throughout high school and our freshman year of college. We tried making it work, but I went out of state for college and she went to a school 2 hours from our hometown. We eventually called it quits. 5 years is a long time to be invested in someone, especially at such a young age. Which is one of the reasons we decided we should remain friends. Also, our families had been good friends since Betty and I were in 3rd grade, so it was nearly impossible to completely cut ties. All in all, it was a relatively healthy breakup. Fast forward about 4 years, Betty and I both graduated college. I stayed in the town I went to college to work while Betty decided to move back to our hometown to work. Betty had remained close with my family and would visit them often since she lived right in town. Our parents continued their weekly game nights. Betty and I talked occasionally but mostly kept up with each other's lives via Facebook. That same year Betty's mother, 48, passed away unexpectedly. My family was being extremely supportive and I was doing my best to support her from 1,000 miles away. My father goes on business trips all around the United States. So a couple of months after Betty's mother passed away, my father, 45, decided it would help Betty if she went on a trip to NYC with him. My little sisters, 12, went with them, so nothing seemed out of the ordinary. When they got back everything seemed normal, but about a month later is when everything came out. My father decided that the best way to tell my mother, 45, that he was divorcing her was to take her out to dinner with the pastor of their church and tell her in a public place. I think he did this intentionally so she didn't freak out at him when he told her he was leaving her for her son's 24-year-old ex-girlfriend. As soon as he told her, he left the restaurant, went home to tell my sisters he was leaving, then packed some clothes and left. He had admitted that his relationship with Betty had started almost a year prior to Betty's mother passing away. So no, he didn't take advantage of a grieving woman. Now let's fast forward roughly 8 months. Nobody has seen or heard from my father since he left. I get a call from him. Turns out that Betty got pregnant on their trip to NYC and is due to give birth any day. My mind was blown, as if it wasn't bad enough that he was with Betty, now he's starting a family with her. I couldn't even think of anything to say to him, so I mumbled something about needing to take my dog for a walk and hung up the phone. Now I haven't spoken to my father since that day, and that entire side of my family has quit talking to me. Including my own grandparents. Even the people from my hometown are supportive of my father and Betty's relationship. Not the idiot, and I hate that you even felt like you had to ask. This isn't a situation where your father started a relationship with some random who is your age, this is your ex. Quite frankly, I would be concerned if you were easily accepting of their relationship. I'm sorry that your dad's family won't even talk to you. I can't imagine that they couldn't understand how you feel if they thought about it for half a second, so this sounds like blind loyalty to your dad and little concern for you or your feelings to me. Not the idiot. What the hell kind of town are you from that would be supportive of this? This man has disrupted your entire family life and added one more bombshell piece of news, and you're expected to be, at the very least, okay with it? Even if this wasn't your ex pregnant with your half-sibling but some random female young enough to, well, date you, I still wouldn't call you an idiot for being unable to accept it. Good Lord, your mum must be having a hell of a time. Not the idiot at all. I feel in a similar situation as your sisters. My parents divorced and my father started dating his ex-stepsister, who is 14 years younger than him and not much older than me. After a few years of her pushing his kids out of his life, he put me on a one-way plane ticket to my mother's at the end of sophomore year in high school. Without me knowing I wasn't coming back, and told me to never contact him again. I hope your sisters know that they did nothing wrong, and hopefully one day he will try to make amends for his mistakes. That's definitely not something any child should have to bear. Every time I walk to my gym I see this cute little dog looking miserable. The dog, it's a she, is sometimes with her owner, a homeless guy in his 40s, but most of the time she gets tied to a pole and left there for hours. I wanted to report this to authorities, but I was told that because most shelters in our area are killing shelters, that could be even worse for the dog. Recently it's been showing a lot in my city, and seeing the poor dog tied to the pole was just too much. A few nights ago my fiancé and I were walking back from a restaurant in the area and saw the dog alone again. We decided to take her home. When I told my mother, she was outraged. She says homeless people need their animals to keep them company and that I had no right to take her. I told her a dog isn't a toy and people shouldn't get one if they can't look after it. My mom says I'm cruel and don't care about human beings. I disagree and maintain that you should not have an animal you can't take care of. We took the dog to the vet. He said she's a little over a year, malnourished but not critically. We scheduled her shots and made sure she was okay. The plan is either to keep her or let my aunt's family adopt her. We have 2 cats, they're used to dogs, and we're leaving our apartment to live in a house with a backyard in a few months. On the other hand, my 8-year-old cousin fell in love with the dog from the moment she saw her. Regardless, we all live in the same city and will be there for the doggy to shower her with love. I just hope my mom gets over it. You are the idiot. You probably took the homeless person's only friend because you assumed the dog was being neglected because they were homeless. I also believe you're taking liberties with your story to make the situation sound much worse than it actually is so you sound better for stealing someone's dog. The fact that you are arguing with judgments doesn't help your case either. Give them their dog back. What you did was wrong. Not the idiot. Plenty of homeless people have dogs, but the dogs stay with them all the time, sleeping together, walking together, eating together. I have never ever seen a homeless person's dog tied up. If the owner goes indoors for whatever reason, the dog waits patiently at the door. But on the other hand, a lot of unscrupulous panhandlers keep a dog just because a dog looks cute and they'll get more handouts. They cycle rapidly through dogs because they neglect them badly and they die. You are the idiot. What you did, help the dog. No one can deny that. Still, it was someone else's dog. This homeless person didn't go out and buy this dog. They probably found it on the street as a puppy and they got it to a year old, so you know they were trying. Of course, I want the dog to have a nice life, but there's another person involved in this. What did you do for that homeless person? You made their life worse and you don't care. You just disregarded them completely. It's shocking to me the kindness some people are willing to show animals while being so horrible to their fellow humans. I'm 16 and still live with my parents. I got a job when I was 14 and have been saving up for my gaming setup. One of the items which I just got was a 65 inches curved TV. It was very expensive considering how much I make. I ordered the TV from Best Buy and it came in yesterday while my mom was home. She installed it into her room while I was at school. When I came back I noticed the box and thought she put it up in my room to surprise me. I walked into my room and there it was. My 30 inches TV from 4 years ago is right where I left it. I talked to my mom and she said it's not my TV. She said it's the family TV. Even though I bought it and it's in her room, she still said it's for the family. I was angry and was almost in tears. When she was away I uninstalled it and put it in my room and locked it down with a lock so it would not move. Well, while I was at work today she found my key to the lock and took the TV again. I was so angry I screamed and cussed at her with all my power. She was crying after all was done. I know that I overreacted in the end, but it took several months to get that TV. She's done things like this before with my car, but it was in my name, so I threatened to bring her to court and she backed down. Not the idiot, I don't believe it, but your mom is the biggest idiot I have ever seen. She doesn't do anything all day and yet she thinks she can steal your TV that you paid for with your money that you worked for? And why is the family TV in her room? That doesn't make it a family TV. What kind of monster is she to apologize to you and steal it again? Oh, and I got so angry when I read if you're living in my house that TV is mine. She going to end up on our /entitled parents one day. Not the idiot. Your mom is insane. She is literally insane. She is trying to steal your TV, that you bought, with your hard-earned money, and keeps trying to steal it. And when you rightfully object, she cries. If you're 14, she can't be much older than 40? Yet she sits around all day and watches TV? While your poor dad works 2 jobs? Yes, return it, to prevent her from stealing it again. And take the money and save it up so you can move out the second you are able to, into your own apartment where you can then have the setup and TV of your dreams. Everyone's the idiot here. You're an idiot for cussing out your mother. Near as I can tell, she hasn't abused you, she fed and clothed you, made sure you were educated, and had a place to live. She's an idiot for taking an item you worked for. I assume you didn't buy it in secret, that she knew you were buying it and that the TV was coming. She could have said something at any point but chose to take it while you were away. You both lack communication skills, but she is worse because she's supposed to be an adult. That being said, if my kids cuss me out, they would be finding a new place to live. And that TV would be in pieces on the sidewalk. My mom and I aren't that close. My dad walked out when I was 3. I make more than my mom, but together we make just enough to keep our heads above the water. I'm not doing great in school right now. I have a 2.5 GPA, which isn't bad but isn't great either. I go to work right after school, but when I get home, I'm too tired to study for long. However, I'm improving my grades and saving for college. Our rent increased, so I had to find a better job. That's when my mom called her unemployed boyfriend and me and announced her pregnancy. She also told us that she's quitting her job because it's not good for the baby. We were both visibly angry. I yelled at her since we can barely care for ourselves. Her boyfriend threatened to leave unless she aborted, but my mom insisted that he'll learn to love his daughter when she's born, but he'll need to work to support the baby. But her boyfriend wasn't having any of it. He just tried to convince her into doing basically anything but keeping it, but as soon as he realized he was beating a dead horse, he disappeared. My mom still can't get into contact with him. I apologized to her for being so harsh but reasoned with her why keeping it isn't wise. I reminded her how we can barely get by now, so we can't afford for her to quit and support a baby. I told her she doesn't have to abort, but if she won't be able to work while pregnant, she should consider since we can't and won't survive on just my income. She then decided to abort. Luckily it was still early enough to get the abortion pill. It cost $800. I had $675, but I told her to get $400 out of my account to help pay for it. She drained my account and spent it all on baby items. I came home to a mountain of diapers and baby clothes. I asked her about it, and she casually said, "Oh yeah, I changed my mind. I'm keeping it." She's taken from my account without my okay before. I've confronted her, but since it was usually only $5.10, I never made a huge deal about it. I was a minor at the time too, so for me to even have a bank account, a legal adult had to be a joint account holder. As soon as I turned 18, I withdrew all the money from the joint account and put it in an account that my mom doesn't have access to. When I got back home, she screamed at me saying it's my choice to have a baby, so it's your responsibility as a big brother to help raise her. When I told her why I no longer trust her with my money, she yelled, "I can't believe how selfish you're being right now." Now I feel like my mom will just dump being a parent on me and I just can't handle that. As of now, I have enough to move out. I feel like I'll be able to focus on my education and not have to spend so much time at work if I'm just supporting myself. Not the idiot, "Your mom is expecting too much. She doesn't seem to care about your needs, she seems too focused on the excitement of a new baby and doesn't realize the complicated situation she's in. You can't raise a child while working, struggling to keep your grades, and having to worry about putting food on the table. I would honestly leave while you can. Who knows when she'll go back to work after that baby, as child care can be expensive. Focus on yourself, don't let her actions take control of your life. Not the idiot. This is a crummy situation for your mom, unemployed BF and pregnant without means to support the baby or herself, and as someone who had horrible morning sickness and felt crappy while working, I can relate to wanting to quit my job. But she's your mom. She's supposed to be taking care of you, too, and not taking advantage of you. She shouldn't be stealing from you. You need to take care of yourself for sure. So sorry that you're going through this. Not the idiot. She sounds like my mother-in-law. There's no excuse for what she's doing. Speaking from experience, this pattern will continue. After your sister is born, she suddenly won't be able to go back to work because someone has to stay home and take care of the baby. This is sending off crazy big alarm bells for me. You have your whole life ahead of you, please look out for yourself. Don't dig yourself into a huge hole because your mom doesn't care about you. I am 17, suffered a major accident while cycling when I was 13. I have 2 really deep, long facial scars. I have been bullied really badly because of it. I am tall, ugly, and intimidating as most girls. People make fun of other people by saying things like, "Why don't you just hook up with Op?" I am honestly used to it. Those people didn't matter to me anyway. But there is this girl I had known since middle school. Let's call her back, I guess? Sorry, I honestly don't know how this works. I had a really big crush on her till a few days ago. I thought she was genuinely sweet and amazing. My family is incredibly supportive, so they urged me to ask her out. I can play the guitar, so I made this whole song for her. I went to the neighboring city to get her favorite chocolate and stuff like that. This was the first time I felt like really going and asking someone out in my life, and I felt that regardless of what I do, she shall see me for who I am and at least accept me as a friend. I was over the moon when she ended up accepting. We went to a fancy restaurant, had a fun time together and walked for 30 minutes. She was really sweet to me. The next week or so was honestly heaven. People started noticing me, even her friends seemed friendly with me. I honestly cried every day because I felt so fortunate to get so much love. It all broke down when a friend of hers, who was on Instagram and followed Beck, sent screenshots to me. I honestly felt betrayed and disgusted. She had posts saying fulfilled his lifelong wish by being his Valentine's, making his day by finally helping him interact with my friends. He is ugly but beautiful people accept ugly people #ugly people matter etc. Beck's friend then explained to me that she apparently wanted a good social media image and had thus asked all her friends to be kind to me and tolerate me till the first week of March, and then distance themselves from me. She apparently wanted to win some stupid positive role model award for her college application because she was lagging behind in community service. And thought playing with my feelings for a few days wouldn't hurt, and apparently, since I was ugly, she was the kind one to give me attention anyway. I was in tears and honestly felt disgusted. My blood was boiling. I researched about this award, found a Facebook page about it online. I went to the authorities to confirm if her name was on the nominations list and then had my friends at work and family as an alibi. She is apparently crying a lot because she received a message from the committee saying her nomination was withdrawn. I am now even more bullied in school, but honestly, I have no remorse whatsoever and feel far more satisfied. Not the idiot. You don't deserve what she has done to you, but she definitely deserves what you did to her. Those kinds of people don't deserve anything in life. Playing with someone's feelings like this is the most disgusting thing a human being could do. Human being. Also, it might just be me, I'm a pretty weird dude, but I always found scars fascinating and interesting. It might not be worth much now, but if I could have, I definitely would have talked to you and would have gotten to know you better. Not the idiot. No one should play with others' feelings. You would be in a worse emotional state if you found out too late about the truth. You are a human. No one deserves to have his or her feelings juggled for a prize they are not even worthy of. And of course, people won't side with you. What I know from high school, the kid who is the most bullied is almost always never sided with, and a kid should certainly not be bullied because of his looks. No one is siding with you because they don't want to associate with the uncool kid, else they are also seen as one. Not the idiot. You are most definitely not the idiot, and I am very sorry that you're dealing with this. It probably doesn't help a lot now, but as you get older, you will find that women put a lot less stock into looks and a lot more emphasis on things like being kind, trustworthy, respectful, and funny. Teenage girls are notoriously shallow. Also, you will very likely love college if you decide to attend. It was so much better than high school for me.